Welcome to episode 11 of the Brent and Carlin podcast. We actually haven't done this for a couple weeks, and I have a good excuse. I bought a house, and I have been doing everything there is to do to move, and then I was moving for the past couple weeks. So it has been crazy. My life has been absolutely crazy for the past couple weeks, but we will be doing this on a regular basis from now on.
Yeah, it's really weird because Carlin usually texts me goodnight every night before going to bed, and he's been so busy. I haven't got a single love you message before going to sleep, which is, it's hurt, but I've understood. He has different priorities right now. But if you're watching this on YouTube with a video, then you can see that he is in a new space.
Yes, I have my gallery wall up, which is a way that you can tell that you're almost done moving into a place. When you start putting up pictures, then it feels like you're finally doing it. And I think that I am finally moved into this place. And what are we on, the 20th day? I moved in 20 days ago.
Was it?
Yeah, it's been crazy.
That's fucking nuts, dude. I thought you moved in like last weekend.
I know. Well, yeah, it's been so busy. I think the craziest story that I had, a lot of just crazy shit shows happen in the whole moving process, but the by far the craziest one was this woman who ran into my U-Haul.
So there's more drama around the U-Haul, because I think on the last podcast we talked about just what a bitch it is to try to book a U-Haul.
I don't even know if we talked about that on the last podcast. I should update with how my U-Haul experience went. It was a shit show that day. So
this
Saturday,
podcast is now just ripping apart U-Hauls.
U-Haul is the biggest piece of shit company, and I will go on record as saying that.
Yo, get them.
And it's not even the retailers that you get the U-Haul from, because lots of the time it's not those people's fault. It's U-Haul that is the piece of shit. So how did it go? So I had it. They booked me for 2 p.m., which was ridiculous. So I asked them to move it to noon, which they did it at a location. So I show up at that location at noon, and the guy there, I bring my reference number or whatever, and he just straight up goes, "Yeah, we don't have your U-Haul here." And actually, those people in front of you, they're looking for the exact same type of U-Haul. We don't even have their U-Haul here. So
we don't have any.
We don't have anyone's U-Haul. So, and I felt bad for the guy because he was frazzled, because it wasn't his fault. It was just, he's like, U-Haul literally just, but like, they can see how many U-Hauls we have, and they just booked extra ones. We don't know why. So I had to get on the phone with U-Haul, and a few hours later, I found one at like the 401 in Weston, which anyone who doesn't know in Toronto is like across the city. Yeah. So I had to go get that. And anyway, it was such a nightmare. We got moved. It was probably like 8 p.m. by the time that we finished getting all my stuff out of my place. And we were actually upstairs in my house, and we were just like on Uber Eats, because we wanted to Uber some pizza over to the new place for when we got there, right before we unloaded it into the new place. And I hear this woman shrieking from downstairs. I lived on the upstairs of a building, and there's this woman just yelling. So I open my door and I start going downstairs, and she's inside the house coming up the stairs, and she's like, "Are you the one responsible for that U-Haul?"
Wait, so, she opened your door and came into your house?
The door might have been open. I don't know.
Regardless.
We might have left it open, but she came in the house.
Can't do that.
Yeah, I think I have to explain how my street works to give this context.
But this is your old place you're in.
Yeah, this is my old place. So I don't really care about saying where I lived. It was on Clinton Street by Christie Pitts.
Yeah.
So it's a one-way street, and if you have a moving truck, or you have a U-Haul, or you have I don't know, when
a delivery of some kind.
The delivery, if a post office comes, you can only park on one side, and there's no room on that side. So these big trucks have to pull up on the sidewalk on the other side. So everyone just goes around these people, and I've done it a million times. And that afternoon, there was probably 400 cars that went around our U-Haul. But this woman, I guess she was going around our U-Haul, and she was in an SUV, and the mirror was still open, and it hit her side mirror and ripped it completely off her car. And she was flipping out.
But she hit a fucking parked car.
Yeah, so she's flipping out on me, and I could tell that she wanted me to pay for her car, and I was like, I don't know what you expect from me, but I'm not gonna pay for the damages on your car because you hit my car. Like, even if a car is illegally parked, you can't ram your car into it and expect someone to pay for the damages.
Yeah, because people would do it all the time. Like if you had a
Yeah,
shitbox car and you saw like an Escalade illegally parked, I'd ram into it and be like, "Well, shouldn't have parked there. Guess you got to get me a new whip." Like fuck that.
exactly. And she was going crazy. Like it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for her. She got hot. She must have been having a real bad day. But she basically she left. Oh, before she left, she ends it with uh I know the next thing that you're gonna say is it's because I'm a woman and I'm a bad driver. And all of us there were like, what are you talking about? How, like, my sister was there. We're like, how dare you pull that
So
card on that on
she
us?
plays the victim and like says that you're going to be like some
Yeah,
sexist piece of shit.
yeah. I was just like, how
And
dare
just so
you?
you know, I know you think it's because I'm a fucking woman.
Yeah,
You're like,
like
no,
no.
I just think you're straight up crazy no matter what gender you are. You hit a parked car, you're mad about it, you're embarrassed, you're flying
Yeah.
off the handle. You just need to leave.
Look, it's just like I think you're a shitty driver because all the evidence I have of you driving is you ripping the mirror off your car by hitting my car. So I think you're a shitty driver for that reason, and it has nothing to do with your gender.
But
So
I fucking know you think it's because it's so
exactly.
good. That is so good.
So she didn't even leave any information or anything, and she like drove off. And we went upstairs and we're just like laughing about it. And we're like, "Whoa, that's kind of crazy." And I thought, oh shit, I should have grabbed her license plate in case she damaged the U-Haul because I'm gonna have to pay for it. And she, like, I saw her car, the mirror was completely ripped off the side. So I go downstairs and I'm going around the U-Haul trying to find damage for it. And she did actually, she in her when she was all irate screaming at us, she was going around the U-Haul and took the mirrors and slammed them into the U-Haul to like show that you can put the mirrors in, which in her
Excuse
defense,
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
which in her defense, I probably should have put the mirrors in. Like I was just busy and I didn't think of it, and everyone else
Yeah.
had no problem doing the mirrors. But she slammed one of the mirrors in so hard that it left like a mark on the passenger door. But I was thinking I should have grabbed her license plate. So I'm looking around the U-Haul for any damage, and there's not really any damage other than that. And I see her coming up the street again. So
She did a lap.
yeah, she's doing another pass, and she stops and rolls down her window, and she's like, "Just so you know, I just called the police to tell them that you're illegally parked, and they said that they're going to be here soon." So I didn't even say anything. I just went around the back of her car and got my phone out and started taking pictures of her license plate.
That is going to set that woman off. That's the
And
only
it
thing that
did.
you could do. Yes.
So she tried speeding off so quick that she jumped the curb twice. And this was like she was like 50 or 60 years old. And then she ripped out of there. Like you said, I thought that is the one thing, like, as annoying as it is, she was probably having a bad day. I didn't like how she was yelling at me, but that probably fucked with her a little bit because she probably went home, cooled down a little bit, and thought, I just ran into someone's U-Haul. It's technically a hit and run because she didn't stop and give any of my information. She just screamed
Yes.
and went off. And she might have damaged the U-Haul. She didn't really check the U-Haul. So she was probably sitting at home biting her nails for 2 weeks, thinking she's going to get a call from, I don't know, the police or U-Haul or something, or someone's
Yeah.
insurance company, even.
I think the biggest way to get under somebody's skin, like, okay, so every time you see those, I'm not calling this person a Karen because I don't want to like say that because like just because she's a woman. Like, but I think every time you see those videos of someone pulling out their cell phone trying to be like, this person's denying me service because of a mask, they pull their phone out back. They're like, don't take a fucking photo of me. They get so mad. There's something
Yeah.
about taking your phone out and videoing somebody that just like,
Yeah.
it snips a wire in their brain and they cannot compute and they fucking lose their
Yeah.
minds. But you're
Yes.
right. Like she must have like had a second to think about it later on and was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Ooh, I've made a huge mistake."
Because she was 100% in the wrong. There was like, obvious. I was illegally parked. I should have put the mirror in. Like, probably should have done that. Even though I was illegally parked, I would have parked like that 10 days a week. Everyone does. If
Yes.
you go there on the first of any month on that street, there's moving vans lined up down the block. So she was in the wrong 100%. So I guarantee she probably, or I would hope that she is self-aware enough that she would have
Do
one of
you
those moments.
do you think that if like, does this woman not understand that if she wasn't in the wrong, people would just drive around into Canpars and FedExes and UPSs every day to scam the system? Like, they would do it every day.
Yeah. Well, she thought maybe out of a courtesy I would pay for her car, but it's like, it's not my fault that
she tried to intimidate you into it. She fucking ran into your house as well.
Yeah. Yeah, she was hot. She was very hot. But new in your life is this goddamn mustache that you have, and it's beautiful. And by the way, I want to shout out Sexy Brent on the internet, because I saw your thirst trap picture on Instagram yesterday, and I was going to comment on it and say, look at this thirst trap now that he's Sexy Brent, but I didn't, and I saved it for the podcast.
Well, are you saying that I look good?
Yeah, you look good. I was even going to comment on one of your pictures on Instagram. I can't remember which one. I think you were golfing, but I was like, this man has lost a significant amount of weight, and he is looking real good.
Yeah.
But I know that you're real sensitive about your social media, so I didn't know if you would
the
comment or you would not like the comment.
If you're about to comment, you've lost weight and you look good, hit that comment button.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. That's really nice, though. I appreciate that. I've been working very hard, and it feels good. And now that I've added the playoff mustache into the mix, I'm just a dirt bag. It is
backwards.
Greasy, man. My girlfriend wasn't totally sold on the idea of it. Like, she was like, "Why are you doing this?" And then I told her, and she understands my Maple Leaf fandom. I'm doing it because Austin Matthews has the same mustache. And honestly, I don't think she thinks it looks as bad as she thought it was going to. So we're doing the damn thing. That's funny that you're calling it a thirst trap, though, because I was like, you know what? This is the first time I think I've ever taken a photo with my shirt off.
Yeah, you know exactly what picture I'm talking about, though.
For sure, man. For sure. I was on my balcony shirtless reading a book, and I was like, I looked in the fucking window reflection, and I shit you not, I think it's like the only time I've been like, hey, not half bad with tarps off. And that is a feeling that if you told like 13-year-old chubby Brent, you would want to take a photo of yourself, you'd want to have evidence of you with your shirt off, I would say you're fucking nuts.
Yeah, you are noticeably, is this the best shape you've ever been in right now?
I mean, I did CrossFit for a couple years and I was like toned. But I don't know if I ever got to this. Like, I definitely had more muscle before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning out, which is cool.
Yeah, you I think the funniest thing is you told me you don't even drink beer, you just drink Socialites now.
Dude, and shout out to Socialite, who I literally begged for. Like, I was like, Socialites fucking rule, sponsor me. And my girlfriend messages me, she's like, Jesus, like, you're begging, like, just like ribbing me or whatever. And I was like, I don't know, let's see. Within 10 minutes, I got a fucking message from Socialite being like, we're dropping you some off.
That is heavy commitment, though, to not drink anything but Socialites.
Dude, it's only Socialites. It's like, not I'm drinking just seltzers. It's only these Socialites. And what I will say is I love them. They're very good. Thank you, Socialite. But it's not like I'm cracking one open and being like, a beer on a hot day. Doesn't hit the same. But beer fucks me up and it sucks.
Yeah.
Speaking of social media, you posted something the other day that we've been friends for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp. I mean, he still finds a way to surprise me, guys, after all these years. But he posted something on Instagram the other day that I was like, how have I not heard this story? Because it's like right in our wheelhouse of friendship. Like, the reason we became homies. This is the nucleus of it almost. So do you want to tell us what you posted?
I had a picture. I just want to look at it so I know exactly what I posted. But this was my first band that I've ever been with my cousin and a couple other people. And this was when I was 14. The band was called the Apocalypse Dudes. And we were together for a little bit while. Yeah, it was it's a song. If anyone's a fan of a band, it is a song. But we had like a cool little logo where it's like a anarchy symbol, but the circle around the anarchy is a music note, and the music note is also a D, so it's like the A dudes.
You know for a fact that somebody in the band was like, I'm gonna get this tattooed.
Oh, definitely. Well, the guy who came up with the band name already had the band symbol too, so he had been thinking about it for a very long time. But yeah, we would gig around Edmonton and the Leduc area for a couple years there. We were made shitty. I don't know what you would call it. Punk music, I guess. It's just like what you would expect. Band name already had the band symbol too, so he had been thinking about it for a very long time. But yeah, we would gig around Edmonton and the Leduc area for a couple years there. We were made shitty. I don't know what you would call it. Punk music, I guess. It's just like what you would expect from 15-year-olds, four chords and
But you're playing
not
shows
very good song structure. Yeah.
at 14.
Well, not like we didn't play we didn't play in bars or anything. We
I know
played
you're not
Battle
at
of
the
Bands.
Danforth Music Hall,
We
but
played at like a roller rink. It's all just shitty teenagers shows.
yeah, I gotcha.
But what do you want to know about the band?
What I would like to know, one, the apocalypse, dude. There's so much to unpack with everything. But you posted a photo of like your local newspaper saying
No,
that.
this was in the school yearbook because we won a school battle of the bands.
Okay.
And that was posted in a school yearbook, which is even shittier that someone even allowed someone to write that in the school.
Crazy.
Yearbook.
So, okay,
Yeah.
so he has a photo. They all look insane. Like they all look exactly how you think like a bunch of 14, 15-year-old emo kids look.
Yeah.
And the caption, first of all, I didn't know that he ever entered a battle of the bands. He technically won the battle of the bands. The apocalypse dudes win the school battle of the bands. Fans love them. However, disqualified because of their poor behavior. And if you know anything about Carlin Burton, he's like the most fucking responsible dude I've ever met in my life. Does he like to have fun? For sure. But I couldn't picture you as a little shithead. And the thing that you did in school
You
is
did not know me as a
crazy.
teenager.
I don't.
I was a monster as a teenager. We would
I
get
just
in that
picture you
trouble all the
being, like,
time.
So nice to your parents all the time, like a straight A
God.
student.
You should talk to my mom then.
I need to.
She has a different memory of me than you do.
Well, I mean, I don't have any memories of you.
You know
so
what
read what it said in the yearbook.
You know what I think it is that I'm responsible now, more responsible now, and I'm responsible compared to maybe other people that we run into in the radio business, because there's a lot of animals in this business.
Yeah, and I mean, I still pretty much have the same homies that I've had since high school. So they've always been dumb as shit. And even if they're more responsible now, I still view them as those people because I know so much about them. Where you is I only know this present form of you.
So I was a pretty hyperactive kid when I was growing up, and then by the time I turned about 13, something switched in my head and I turned into a psychopath. And then I kind of grew out of it when I became an adult and was trying to get radio jobs and everything like that. So
yeah,
I guess I did get a little more responsible into my adult years.
But you got disqualified, and I want you to read what the yearbook had to say of why you guys won but didn't win the Battle of the Band.
They were basically reviewing the whole Battle of the Bands here. So it was the 5 other bands relied on ungodly screeching and faux rock star posturing to inflict their chaotic and painful ego-driven cacophony. I don't even know what that word means, and this is clearly written by a 14-year-old. The dubious winners were the excruciatingly awful apocalypse dudes, who were subsequently disqualified and suspended for their disgraceful behavior. No band advanced, a tragedy for the talented Dissident band, who clearly someone from the band Dissident wrote this article. I think I remember what the guy, like, he played a 5-string bass. He was that type of teenager.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever met a teenager that plays a fucking 5-string bass?
Who
listens to prog rock?
Who is the bitch ass narc that got to write that? A bunch of people had fun on stage and like went against the school, which is the coolest thing that you can do in high school. And this person's like very disappointed in the apocalypse dude for throwing. What'd you do? You threw baby powder?
So we were such little shits, and we were into the Sex Pistols, and we were into like all the rock star behavior where you act like a jackass.
Yeah.
So, and we also, I think we accidentally did it the first time, but we did it at a few shows after that and got in trouble every single time. But I remember there was some guitarist, I think it might have been Yngwie Malmsteen or something like that, who put baby powder on his hand to play guitar so he could go up and down the fretboard quicker. So somehow like I said, I think it was organically one show we start someone grabbed the baby powder and like shot it all over the crowd.
Yeah.
And it was like a gigantic cloud and it was choking everyone. And it like people thought it was the most I remember people thinking it was the most punk rock thing ever, but
Yeah.
it also got it in this music store's equipment. So it was called Axe Stream Fest, and it was basically a music store in Edmonton called Axe Music. And they put on this Battle of the Bands at a bunch of high schools around the area. And they brought all their own equipment. So all the amps, the cabinets, whatever, even the drums maybe were from this store. So it got all in their equipment, and they say that they cleaned it, none of it got ruined, but at the end of the day, we got disqualified because we borderline ruined thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
You didn't have
and
to
this
pay
isn't
for
even
anything?
no, we didn't have to pay for anything. But this story gets even worse because being little shitheads, 14-year-olds, and mad that we didn't get to advance. Because if you advance from this Battle of the Bands, you got to go to Edmonton, and there was this venue called Reds in West Edmonton Mall. And everyone who won their Battle of the Band, all the high school, got to go to this one and compete at a bigger Battle of the Bands. And then the winner from that won money or gear, or maybe they got to open up a show. I think they got to open up a show and won some money and stuff. Like it was a significant prize.
Yeah. And it's also just like a goal of winning something. Like
yeah, and we were so serious about our band at that point, and this was like a slight. So we, for weeks, had everyone we knew and every friend that I had call this Axe Music. And I remember his name. His name was Rick, and be like, "Hey, is Rick there?" and to go to Rick and be like, "Hey, why the fuck did you disqualify Apocalypse Dudes?" And like bitch him out and try and get us back on the bill for the bigger show.
Yeah, nothing gets you back into something by calling a guy relentlessly saying "fuck you."
But honestly, hundreds of people, like everyone. I remember I went to a
Apocalypse Dude fan club ran
no,
deep.
I remember I went to a new school and I was in grade 10, and this was before I was really self-aware. Like I was still a kid at this point.
Guys smoking a cigarette. Aren't you the kid from Apocalypse Dudes?
No, I would get my new friends to all call Axe Music on my cell phone and be like, call this guy, like bitch him out. And then this actually ended. So the Battle of the Bands was at my cousin's school in Leduc, which is a suburb, or not a suburb, it's its own city, like 15 minutes south of Edmonton. It would be like Oakville compared to Toronto. And this ended with everyone who went to that school getting suspended, because I think this Rick guy ended up calling the cops on them. And I remember the police got involved for some reason, and we all got
because you're harassing a business owner.
Yeah, and in his defense, it was harassment because it went on for weeks and it was hundreds of calls. But the baby powder wasn't even the only thing that we used to throw off stage. I remember this was in a time this was during the time where tight pants were getting cool, and we did all our shopping at Salvation Army. I remember there's a Salvation Army in Leduc, and we'd go in there and rate everything from that. I remember one time someone got a box of romance novels and we whipped those out into the crowd. We were just...
That would fucking hurt.
Yeah, I think it did hurt someone. But
From Russia with love.
Yeah, we would do shit like that just because we were super into punk rock music and just wanted to do stuff like that.
I think my favorite sentence that has been said on this podcast is, we put baby powder everywhere and people thought it was the most punk rock thing they've ever seen. You went out, a bunch of teenagers, preemptively bought a bunch of baby powder, and that's punk rock, dude.
Yeah,
my ass will never be chafed. My fingers will be sliding. That's punk rock.
Do it at your next show. Actually, don't do it at your next show. Just do it in your apartment. Get a bottle of baby powder and like throw it everywhere. It gets everywhere. Okay, I remember we were playing my school's Battle of the Bands. So my school was in Edmonton. And there wasn't, oh my God, there wasn't even anyone there. So there were probably 8 people watching, one of them being my dad.
That dude's getting baby powdered.
Yeah. And he's like, Carlin, you guys got in so much trouble for that baby powder thing. You better not baby powder this. And he was
Shut the fuck up, Dad.
He was so mad that we baby powdered the crowd of 6 people. Again, I remember he was so
because
disappointed.
the disrespect level, like the theatrics, the commitment to the bit, then fuck you to 6 people that are painstakingly watching this shit.
But it was also one of those situations where I was a teenager and I was like, I can't be so uncool that I tell my bandmates not to baby powder the crowd.
My dad said no, guys.
Yeah, at that point, it was becoming our thing a little bit. But we did baby powder and we had to clean it up after. I remember that one.
Sure didn't do any. My band is called Sure. We didn't really do any pranks. We're probably not going to play shows like again once this is all over because our drummer's in Vancouver. God bless him.
Would Dave ever give you the blessing to use another drummer?
Yeah, we've used Ferd from the Owens a couple times. He's chill with it. Like he understands that we still want to play shows, and like when we do initially like inevitably record more music, like it'll be Dave on the track, or like Ferd will do it, and Dave wrote the drum parts. So
yeah.
But we had this. So we opened for Marcy Playground. Like they sing "Sex and Candy." If you don't know, hang around downtown by the show and that tune. And we're like, how fucking funny would it be if we played Sex and Candy as the opener? Because it's like, it couldn't be a bigger fuck you to that band. They have one song.
That would be so shitty. Especially if you imagine you met them in the green room before your show and it's like, oh, they're actually really nice people. And we have this plan of playing Sex and Candy and screwing with them.
That's almost what happened. Because we were thinking about it. We're like, even if we'd like acapella, because we used to start every set with like acapella Uncle Cracker Follow Me, just because I thought it was a bit that 3 people like. Those 3 people happened to be the members of the band.
Yeah.
And we're like, nah, let's do Sex and Candy this time. I think that's fucking hilarious. Fuck this band. We don't give a shit. We're not trying to make it big. Like we're just in it for goofs and laughs. We should do it. And then like we actually had a green room and we met the drummer of Marcy Playground, and he was such a good guy.
Yeah,
and we're like, we can't do it. It sucked. And then I think we met this singer and maybe we didn't like him. So there was like maybe we fuck him over though. Maybe we do it just to scare them. Cause it'd be so funny to play that first note. Cause you would be able to, they would come on stage. I almost guarantee like they would poke their head out and be like, what are you pieces of shit who definitely don't deserve to be playing the Phoenix doing?
Yeah. Yeah. They'd be pissed for sure. It'd be a good one though.
On the topic, I guess, kind of high school, I've been reading Seth Rogen's new book. It's called Yearbook, and it's really good if anyone likes reading and laughing. And he talks so much about him and his friends growing up and like their high school experience, and it makes you realize like how many funny stories that we all have that people would laugh at if they knew them. And I was like, oh shit, like I thought this stuff might have just been funny to my friends and I, but he was talking about like his first experience with porn, and because like Seth Rogen is older than us, the internet didn't really exist, and then when he did have it, it was like dial-up internet on a computer in the family room, which I think we've all had. Like you're not cranking it in the middle of the living room.
Oh, I did, or I used to.
That's when psychotic. Pardon me. Hold up.
Home, okay, your parents aren't home. No one's home. You're not using that computer for a little crank session?
Not a chance, man. Mine was so open. Mine was so open at any moment.
Same with mine. I would do it when people were home. I remember my brother caught me one time.
Jerking off.
Not jerking off, but like I heard him coming up the stairs and I put my thing away. And then I didn't have time to close all the tabs and I opened another one and something happened and the other one popped up and he saw.
I remember going to my friend Mitch's house and we were playing NHL. And I was using his computer monitor for one screen. He was using a TV for his. He went to like go talk to his sister outside, and I was still in his bedroom. So he just started like clicking around on his computer, like fucking around, and 4 tabs open. It was like Sheila Styles bra busters, 8 busty Asian cum sluts, and I was like, there's this weird thing of like, even if you're into everything that you're seeing, it's weird knowing what your friends are watching.
Yes.
But
I will agree with that.
I didn't have, like, I had a computer that was downstairs, and I was perpetually scared that someone would catch me jerking off. Like, always scared.
What would you had hard copy of something?
I had an iPod Nano.
Oh my god.
And I remember trying to load porn GIFs onto it.
I used to do stuff like this too.
I was like, I need movement.
Yeah.
Pictures aren't doing it for me. Like, I can print out a fucking image. I can buy a magazine. I need some form of movement. GIFs are what I'm going to do. I'm going to upload them to my iPod Nano. That way I can lock a bathroom door, bring it in there, and that's totally normal. I can't bring a fucking desktop computer. I need a lock on the door. So I fill my iPod Nano with just like random porn GIFs. Nikki Benz. Who else? Who else was I into at the time? I don't know. I only remember Nikki Benz. But I left my iPod, I guess, down at my dock one day, and my uncle is like, found this iPod. It's got porn all in it. And he's like fucking yelling it to my parents. Like, who the fuck's iPod? It's covered just porn pictures, like 2 songs on it. And I'm like, I probably should have
uncool. But you
probably should have front loaded some music onto it.
Yeah, what were you thinking?
But it was just like pictures of porn, and they're not even like GIFs didn't even play on it, so it was a still image. So my whole plan was ruined anyway.
Kids these days will never appreciate what they have just for what we went through.
A cell phone that can load any video in the privacy of your own room, like, that's crazy. I'm using an iPod with still images that my uncle is now ratting me out to my parents to. I lie, say, oh, I bought that iPod from Brandon. My friend Brandon used, so it was all his stuff. I haven't had a chance to put anything on it yet. So anytime Brandon comes over to my place, my uncle would like say shit to him and he wouldn't understand. He'd be like, really? You horny bastard. And he's like, yeah, I guess.
You didn't tell your friend? Oh my god. I once found a porn mag on the side of the road when I lived out in the country on the side of a gravel road, and I threw it into a bush. But I had a guy who I knew who lived near that bush, and I told him about it. And I remember he got the porn magazine taken away by his parents, and I was pissed about it. That's the shit we used to go through.
I remember I got a porn magazine as a joke gift from my friend when I was 16, and I was like, yes. Oh, like, yeah. This isn't a fucking joke to me. I needed this magazine. What you did was a favor. But in that Seth Rogen book, he's talking about how many people find old porn mags on the side of the road and shit. And it's so true. Like, so many people I know pass down porn mags from just finding it somewhere.
I wonder if it's something that it was an unwritten rule back in the day that people would throw someone a bone or something. Like, because it is weird. The amount of people that find a box of porn in the woods or something. Maybe someone's too ashamed to actually throw it out, and that's why they're doing it. They just toss it out the window.
It's this like weird masturbatory pay it forward type shit.
Yeah. I wonder if it's pay it forward or embarrassed to throw it out. But it is a thing. It's definitely a thing, because I've had that situation, and I know multiple people who have just found a box of porn before, and it's like Christmas Day. To a horny 14-year-old.
Finding anything with nudity in it, even like a movie back in the day. Yeah. Like I remember waiting up till like 3 a.m. for TLC channel to play Latin Lover.
Oh yeah.
And it's like all in Spanish.
The softcore porn, and you're like, is this the best part, or should I wait for a better part? And then
it's like you got it.
2 hours later,
this guy's seen it.
What am I doing?
Fuck, I missed the good part. Now I'm just invested in the story. Is Enrique ever gonna get back with Gabrielle?
I remember when I was about 17, I saved up some. This might have been after 17. But I saved up some money.
This might have been last year.
And I bought a TV for my bedroom. And I remember I went to a pawn shop and bought a DVD. And it didn't even occur to me till we were talking right now that it was a cuck DVD. Like, it was it was called Fuck My Wife Volume 8 or something. And I didn't even realize that that's what that was until this very moment.
You were so 17-year-old was into the cuck vibe.
I wasn't into it. I was just into like I didn't
Anything that was
understand what it
naked.
was. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That is,
if you gave me 5 minutes, I probably have a million of these stories. I remember one time my family Christmas gift exchange for this is the horniest
was the 1 to 7 cuck DVD so you could understand the storyline.
This is probably the horniest thing a 13-year-old has ever done. So my extended family's like 50 people, and every year we would do the what's it called?
Yankee
Kris Kringle Yankee gift swap. And someone put in there a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition calendar, and I traded for that thing multiple times during the Christmas gift exchange. Like, I think someone took it away from me, and I was like, I'm getting this thing back.
Your parents are like, we're taking it because we don't want this kid just jacking it in his room the whole time. Dad, stop Yankee gift swapping my porn away.
Yeah, I think they did at one point.
That's insane. I love the idea of everybody in the room knowing exactly why you keep trading for it.
I haven't thought about that till
your
right
aunt's
now.
Like, are you sure, Carlin? You really want? It seems like he really wants it. Maybe we should just let him.
Yeah, that is humiliating. That is so embarrassing.
I was super into WWE when I was a kid, and obviously big into the WWE divas. Now just the women's wrestling, as they should be referred to. But Trish Stratus, Lita, Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, like, oh my God, I was in love with these women. And I remember, so I used to subscribe to a wrestling magazine, like subscription. And then like I would order merch, like I'd fill out a little slip and order shit, Rey Mysterio t-shirts and whatnot. And my subscription ran out. And my mom's like, you don't even read it. Like, you just look at the merch, blah, 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 blah. What she didn't know is like, I needed those magazines because there was always like a centerfold of one of the women in it. And I remember we're walking around Blockbuster and they had WWE magazine, and my subscription had just run out. So I knew I wasn't getting this copy. It's Tori Wilson in a mesh shirt on the cover. You can pretty much see anything. I'm shocked that it's just like on the rack at a Blockbuster, but because it's WWE, they're like, whatever, I guess. So I'm like, how do I position this to my mom without seeming like this is definitely just crank material? How do I walk up to my mom, show her like a magazine with essentially a naked woman on it, and be like, I need it because wrestling?
Your mom knows you're not fooling your mom at that point.
I wasn't. And she, God bless her, she supported my unhealthy habit. And I got the magazine and I got a lot of use out of it.
Any teenagers listening right now, it's a healthy habit.
It was, I mean, for a lot of people, I'm sure it was. For how much I was doing it back then, I don't think so. Borderline unhealthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there too. I remember I got do you remember Big Brother magazine, the skateboard magazine?
Yeah.
I remember there was one picture in the one issue that I had that was like this big. It was a thumbnail, little picture of just a guy who had someone's boobs rested on his head, and it didn't even show anything above the boobs. And I remember that was one of my favorite magazines.
That became your kink. I just want a huge set of tits on my head.
Yeah.
I will not come until this happens.
And I don't want to make us sound perverted because we're two guys talking about this, but when you're a teenage boy, it's I don't even know how to explain it. It's uncomfortable is what it is.
Yeah, like Big Mouth does a really good job of explaining like how gross and horny you are at that age.
The show?
Yeah. It's bonkers. Like I remember like you're at school, you're like, I can't even think.
Yeah. Like I don't want to get into it because it sounds weird, but it's almost like an itch you need to scratch.
Yeah.
It's almost like imagine you have an itch on your foot and it's just there and you have to scratch it. That's kind of how I would explain it.
Yeah, and I mean the same thing for a lot of women too, and that's kind of the cool thing about Big Mouth is that like there's this episode that's literally called Girls Are Horny Too, and you're like, oh my God, like it's so nice to know that like everyone is feeling this weird way of like, am I the only person that feels this way? Like, I think the show, like as like over the top as it is, I think it is like super important for people to, especially like kids going through like those like really hard hitting puberty ages, to watch it, because you're like, oh my God, if I knew that, then I wouldn't have felt like such a fucking ashamed psychopath in the moment.
Yeah, I don't know why parents don't talk about it, especially my parents. I remember my brother telling me once that my dad told him that it's completely normal and he does it. And I was just like, I've been doing this for 3 years and feeling such shame about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, why didn't they tell me that sooner?
I never had that talk with my parents. I remember I got a condom from my sex ed place, like, or like my guidance counselor or something. And I was like, I need to know how this works. So I need to put it on my dong. And I did. And then I was like, I could probably just jerk off into this and then have like no cleanup. So I did. I put it in the garbage. I had a dog at the time. Dog rips open the garbage. There's a condom. My parents come up to me and they're like, are you like sexually active? They're like, they sat me down. My parents are so chill that we've never had like a serious conversation ever. They sit me down after dinner and I'm like, it's like in a mafia movie when you know you're going to get whacked. I was like, here we go. I don't know what I did, but like, this sucks. And then they told me that there was a condom and I was like, oh no, like that wasn't me. And my brother, who like has never had my back for anything, took the fall because he had a girlfriend.
Whoa.
I was like, that was mine. And I was like, Josh Albrecht, fucking praise you, because this conversation was about to get like so uncomfortable. Like I have to explain to them that why I'm jerking off into a condom and not even having sex. Like, no, I'm nowhere near sex. I'm just learning about this shit.
Yeah, that I want. Did your brother want to look cool in front of them? Like, yeah, I'm having sex.
Hey, mom and dad, give some daps to your son. No, like I think honestly he saw, like, me and my brother didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things until he went to college. We're friends is like childhood, and then when we became teenagers, just like hated each other. So I think he just saw like I would hate to be in that position, and I have he had a girlfriend, and he had a girlfriend for like a year, so it kind of made sense. And like, yeah, he like just totally took the fall, and I was like, unbelievable.
Yeah. My parents were great parents. The one thing that I think they messed up completely with is with sex, because my mom's family is weirdly Christian. Like they're kind of Christian, and they went the route of don't have sex until you're married. And that works 0% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous for your kid, because I remember the first time I lost my virginity. Do you want to hear my losing my virginity story?
Of course.
So I was in grade 10 after my final exams. My girlfriend what was her name? Katerina? That's
fucking
a name,
Katerina, right? Mind mixer.
Yeah, she came over to my house, and I remember I still had bunk beds, and I was still wearing graphic underwear. Like I was 15 years old at the time, and we got down, and things happened, and I finished, and obviously there was no condom there, and then like 2 minutes later we start fooling around again and have sex without a condom. Like, how dangerous is that? I wouldn't even do that as an adult with my girlfriend who I've been with for 3 years.
Yeah, it is.
Like, that's a very quick way to have a 15-year-old have a child.
Yeah, because you like, if you don't have those conversations, you don't really understand how crazy it is. I remember finding out these two guys, this couple in my French class, Kelsey and Jordan, were fucking, and they were not using a condom. And I remember saying to Kelsey, what's your plan if you get pregnant? And she was like, oh, we already have it all figured out. Like looking at me like, you fucking idiot, like weird geniuses. And I was like, okay, do tell. And she was like, the plan is, he was going to say that he was jerking off, and then he fingered me. Okay. So he got cum on his hand and then fingered it into her to get her pregnant. And I was like, I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but I think your parents are going to see through that plan. And she was like so matter of fact about it.
What your parents think about you having sex at that point after you're pregnant is the least of your worries.
Yeah.
Like my parents would look down on other parents that had condoms available to their kids. Like I remember there was one household who had like a little jar somewhere where a couple condoms just in case. And my parents would be like, how could they do that? And it's just like, you have to recognize that your kids are going to be having sex whether you like it or not. And you should
Exactly.
probably have some condoms available for them. And even further, I don't know what it's like having kids. I don't know what it's like having or being a parent, but you should make sure that your kid knows how to put on a condom too, because how many times did you have a condom break when you were a teenager too until you learned how to put it on properly?
Totally. No, like
Like,
1,000%. I was like wildly unprepared for my first time. I had been dating this girl for like 2 weeks. We didn't like we would walk past each other. She was in a grade lower than me. I was in grade 11. She was in grade 10. We'd literally pass each other in the hallway and not say a word to each other. We would only talk at parties. It was like
you
this
were dating?
but we were dating, like boyfriend and
My first
girlfriend.
girlfriend was like that too.
It was so strange, man. Like I felt so uncomfortable all the time, and I felt like her friends were like looking at me, and like my friends were looking at her, being like, "Why don't you guys talk?" And I was like, "I don't know how to talk to this person. Like, I don't."
But you talk to her every night on MSN Messenger, right?
Yes, and
Yeah,
text
so
all the time, but in
yeah,
person, you're like I didn't know. I literally didn't know how to speak to this girl.
yeah.
And I remember like I was always trying to schedule double dates, so there was like buffer.
Mm-hmm. That's a
But
good move.
finally, she came over. It was, I'll never forget it, St. Patrick's Day, and we're fooling around, and everything happened for me in the same night. I had never hand job, blow job, nothing. I'd never had that before. That happens, and I'm like, holy shit. And then we're like, should we have sex? And we're like, okay. So and she's like, wait, are your parents home? I was like, oh fuck, I don't know actually. The phone starts ringing, and I'm like, okay, here's the deal. If it goes to answering machine, my parents are at the St. Patrick's Day party. If it gets picked up, then my parents are home. The phone's ringing. It's ringing. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. Like this ultimatum I've given myself is nuts. Goes to answering machine. I was like, let's do it. Let's have the worst sex you'll ever have. And that's what happened. The worst sex this woman has definitely ever had.
Yeah. It Yeah, it's funny that you thought you didn't have a contingency plan where you're like, oh, if my parents are home, let's still do it, but do it with our shirts on or something.
There was nothing. It was just like,
That's what I
if they're
would have
home,
done.
no, not happening. I mean, you
You
heard how scared I was of getting caught jerking off. Can you imagine how scared I was to be caught having sex?
you didn't ever have a girlfriend at your house?
I had girl friends, but like I never like I didn't have a girlfriend in high school. Like I had girls that I liked, but my first 2 years of high school, I was fucking repugnant looking. So there was no one like coming up to me. And then I was mostly just like a guy who crushed on girls at parties. Like
Hmm.
I always liked a girl from a different school because the girls at my school knew who I was and didn't like me. So I
That is
was
a
like,
tough one.
okay.
I was like I was always kind of short, like a little guy in the class up to grade 10, and then I moved schools and I had a growth spurt and everything, so things were good from there on.
Yeah. I mean, well, I was an emo kid and I only liked emo girls. So if you didn't have like crazy scene bangs, like I didn't like you either, you know?
Okay.
So like I had like fucking MSN relationships and shit with like girls that I would meet at shows in Toronto for like a
Who didn't
hot
have
sec.
that though?
That's what I'm saying. So like that's like I was scratching an itch there, and then I cut my hair. I looked like fucking Ryan Sheckler. I lost a ton of weight, and then I was like, oh, like girls like you if you don't have like the craziest haircut ever and 50 extra pounds.
You sold out. Sold
I
out,
did.
dude.
I did. I sold out
Lame.
for people to talk to me for social interaction.
Did you not have your friends till you were in grade 12?
No, I
Like
had like
Cody and
this.
stuff?
I had the same group of friends like for pretty much my entire grade, all of high school, like going into high school and stuff too. But it's just like when you're in a group of guys and there's six of you, and everyone has like a skater shag haircut and is wearing like whatever, like normal skate clothes and shit like that. And then you got a guy who's like 50 pounds heavier than the rest of your crew, an insane haircut, a sweater with diamonds on it, and wearing girl jeans from Garage. Who do you think that they're looking at?
I don't know. You no, I think that works because you made yourself into a niche. So if there's someone who is into that weird emo kid, you're the only one there.
Well, that
I
was
think
it.
that's a
Like,
good move. Like if you're a weird look, if you were, as you said, you called yourself repugnant, but if you're like someone who's not the peacock of the friend group, I think that's a good move. Did it work?
I
Not a
mean,
single time?
I I had like flings and shit like that, but it wasn't until I remember being at a party, and this is getting sad now. I remember being at a party in grade 10, and it was a New Year's Eve party. So like everyone was talking about who they're going to kiss. And I like was kind of standing around like I know I'm not going to fucking kiss anybody. I'm wearing the craziest Volcom sweater I've ever seen. It zips up into a scary face.
That's cool.
So I was like, oh, this sucks. And I was like one of the only people on New Year's Eve that didn't have a New Year's Eve kiss. And I remember being like, dang, really? Like, I'm sure someone would have if I wanted to with them, but I was also like begging. I was a beggar who was also a chooser. And then I remember seeing photos from that party 2 days later, and my face was just enormous. Like it was just like so chubby, and like my neck was huge, and my posture is so bad. And when I was just like, I was like, ew, ew, ew. Like, no wonder no one wanted to kiss you. And then I dropped like 60 pounds, like over the next year.
That was your rock bottom then.
It was seeing the photos from Alicia Bowman's New Year's Eve party being like, oh man, I remember it's so funny because I'm friends with this girl now. Her name's Christine. She's like a pretty decent friend of mine. But I remember she came up to me and I had my lip pierced. She's like, she's fucking hammered. She's like, I've never made out with a guy with a lip ring before. It's like, you're like, I like you as a friend, Christine, but you're fucking wasted right now. Like, get out of here.
That is hilarious.
I remember thinking like, she must be bummed that not even I would kiss her.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of surprised. That is your rock bottom though.
And now look at us.
Well, how did you lose weight as a teenager?
I mean, I was unhealthy, man. Like I ate like one meal a day. I would treadmill like